All right. You'll notice that now this area has a waiting room. I can't control that. Zoom now requires it. All right. But this is one thing I did learn to control. You all just sit there. Hang on. You don't have to do anything. I learned that if I spotlight this, then you don't, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't have to do the work. So, which was
It's
always
just
like
one. So it's just one window, no Leah demo and your.
Well, no, there's windows. You can see them. They're on
Okay.
the side. You should be able to
Okay.
still see them. They may show up at the bottom of your screen, but this allows me to put this up. So can you see what I mean about the color and
Yeah.
value? So the most important thing is that when you put a color here, whatever color you choose, it's going to be light. Light compared to this dark, compared to this medium, and then this very dark is going to be darker. So you get to play with color. I know some of you are playing with color and ink, but before we do that, let me just demo again. For those of you who are working in pencil or another medium, or maybe you want to do this as an ink drawing, but you want a grid. If you're new to, wait here, hold on, let me, actually, you know what, I can do this right here. Okay, so if you're new to drawing, totally new, and you do not have a ruler, you can just take your piece of paper and fold it. 1, 2, 3. Fold it in half 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll remember we did this from the beginning. I wanted to encourage more beginners to take this class, so I want to make sure that people don't feel like they have to be totally far ahead. Then, of course, you open it up, and here is your paper divided into 16 equal size rectangles. And then the next step would be to actually draw these in. If you don't have a ruler like I do, you can just take a straight edge, a book, a folder, even a piece of paper to draw these in. So that's my recommendation to you. If you are working on paper, you can also, with ink, use a pencil. So you could totally give yourself a grid with a light pencil and then go over it with ink. If you're using a ruler, as you know, the rule to gridding is to find the halfway point of each side. And I can use either centimeters or inches, and I can switch back and forth depending on what works for me. In this particular case, this is a A3 size paper, which is 8.5 by 11 inches, which is like 28 centimeters on my long side. So I'm just going to use centimeters to divide this into 14. I'm marking off. So notice I'm marking off 14 at the top and the bottom. And then on the side, the centimeter thing is a little bit more difficult. So I switch over to inches. It's 8.5. So I mark off the 4.25 section. See, I'm finding the halfway point at every side so that I can draw my first folds. Like this. These are the first 2 folds, equivalent to the first 2 folds, like that. Then, so if you don't want to fold your paper, you can do this. This is like your alternative. And notice what that does. Like it kind of shows you, our tendency is to kind of want to zero in on this pair, on these pairs, but look at, so the tendency would be to put these guys all straight in the middle. But notice how far up, how close to the center this pair is and this pair is. And notice that this one is kind of off to the side. Believe it or not, I actually used this with my kids' art class last week. And one of the things I've noticed, these are 11-year-olds working, is that when the girls drew, they drew all of these objects, but they drew them with a lot of space between them. So one of the things that I've noticed is that we have to think about the space around, right? As much as we have to think about the actual subjects that we're drawing. So in this particular case, we want this still life to kind of go across the page, only little bits. Tiny little like reminder, it's just something I noticed. I think it's how all our brains work. We have to be reminded to think about what's here as well as what's here. The next step to get the next two folds is to find the halfway point between each half. So in this case, this is 14 centimeters. That means I'm going to mark 7 here and 21 here. I'm going to do the same here. 7 here, 21 here. And on the short side, I'm going to use inches for this. It's about 2.2 inches. And the big thing with measuring is just to make sure that you're lining your piece up consistently every time. You know that my 0 mark is at my actual edge of my paper or at my halfway point. It's easy to not to mess that up when you're not paying attention. I've been so surprised at how hard it's been for lots of people to create the grid at the beginning. When you're not used to thinking like that, it's a tool, you know, it's like how to use a tool. And we don't really use this tool very much anymore. And of course, I can connect these, lining up these two marks. And there you go. So regardless of whether you're working in whatever you're working in, Sandra, I think this would be a totally fine one to do in pastels, really fun, actually. Grading is still important. It's good in pencil too. As we start to draw, once again, I'm going to remind you that still lifes often have their own, often become a sort of super object. And that's what we're going to draw first. So I'm going to draw what I mean. So notice I'm drawing a line around not only all 3 pairs, but also around their shadows. So your first lines is going to be this super object, nothing inside. Your second set of lines will be the inside lines. I'll do those in blue. Okay. Yep. And then your third set of lines are going to be really delineating, and let's do those in green. How about purple? Oh, it might be hard to see in purple. Let's do green. That's going to be to delineate your dark, your mediums, and your lights, your midtones. Notice that around the edge of each pair, there's a dark and then a kind of a not as dark, but still dark area. So you want to pay attention to those nuances. Can anybody tell what direction the light's coming from?
From the right,
Yeah, how can you tell?
because that's where it's light.
That's where it's lightest. Thank you. Seems like such a simple thing. Here we go. And then you can add this stuff in if you want to, as much as you want to, you can add in. So, so we're going to go, you're going to start with orange. You're going to move to blue, and then you're going to move to light blue, and then you're going to move to dark blue. That's how you're going to start drawing. But I am going to do this in ink. So once again, I have my blankie from last night. You can see, well used. I ran out of black ink, so I'm going to use blue ink today. You are welcome to use any color you want. You're going to see that because I'm using one color, it doesn't matter whether it's black, blue, green, even orange. It will all have the same consistency. And then just the general spiel. I know a lot of you have heard this on ink, but I'm going to say it anyway. I spend a little time. I'm working with my bamboo brush, my bamboo pen, my bamboo brush. I've got this waterproof ink. I've got water. I have a testing sheet, which is just plain printer paper. I have my source, and then I've got my Bristol paper up here. So I've got all of these things. Why do I have testing paper and why do I have my blankie? Well, let me demonstrate. If I dip my brush right in the ink, and you're welcome to do this too, it makes these beautiful marks. But if I go on here and I put straight ink on and I try to take it off with my blankie, look what happens. I can't get rid of it. So when I start out drawing with ink, I'm going to start by drawing with a very watered down version. So notice my ink, my water jar is starting to get blue because I dipped it in the ink. If I come over here, I can, yes.
Leah, you're not going to use black at all. If we're doing color, we should be in color from the start.
No, you can, I'm using blue like I would use black.
Okay.
Yeah, just one color. So if you want to use, you can use, and I just ran out of black, and I haven't had time to get to the art store. So I'm just showing you it can be the same thing. I would suggest starting with one color and then going on to layering other colors if you have colored inks. Notice that the more I dip my pen in the water, the lighter it gets. So our initial sketches are going to be done in this very light wash. Notice what happens if I put watery ink on my paper and I scrub it out with my blankie. Oh, it goes away. You have about 2 minutes before it goes away, but because ink dries pretty fast. The other thing to keep in mind with ink is that my light areas, I want to try and avoid getting ink in my lightest areas here. So this is why we outline everything, because I want to get that in a very light color, because I want to get my shapes right. And I want to make sure that I don't kind of get lots of dark ink color on. So you will see when we move to pastels, and also when we move to acrylic and oil painting in the winter, that the principles are going to be a little bit different. We're actually going to start with darker layers of color and lay our lights on top of them. Because we have to preserve our lights, because if we go too dark, we can't go back. We start here drawing, but building our colors in, our values in lightly. So we work with our dark areas. So I'm going to start with, notice I've got my hand right here. I'm going to.
Leah, are you recording this?
Yep, absolutely got it.
Ah, good.
Yes, got it. I did, because I forgot to do it last night. All of these lessons are recorded and they are all available to you guys. So, and then notice I'm kind of coming. So I'm using this very light. And notice pears actually have a lot of plane changes. Notice that. Oh, I'm going a little too far. I'm not bringing this all the way down. I'm coming over here. I'll start here on this side. I'll come over here on this side, coming down. Notice that a pear isn't just like this, right? A pear actually, it goes out, comes down, it goes out again, it comes down, and it comes down, in this case, a little bit higher than this line. So actually, oops, I almost went too far. I'm drawing here. This always feels very tedious at the beginning, but once you get used to it, it's so logical. You'll wonder how anybody can do it any differently. And notice, you guys, that one of the reasons that we're switching up mediums and also subjects is that I want you to understand, like, I feel like with these demos, I often have people, oh, and by the way, this stops if I line it up just above here. So yeah, I want to stop there. I notice with these demos, like a lot of people will say to me things like, I don't know how to do waves, or I don't know how to do fruit, or I don't know how to do faces, or I don't know how to do legs. So what I'm trying to give you is experience with everything so that you have an understanding of how the principles come into play. So this is on a diagonal, and I keep going a little bit farther down than I should. Now I'm coming down here. So I'm coming past the pear. Maybe I went down a little too low. And then I'm coming over with a swoop like this here. And down like that. So see, I start with something that looks really awkward, like totally awkward. In fact, I still brought that down a little bit too low. Because I'm working with very light ink, I can find ways to correct my mistakes. I'm still working, just dipping my brush in my inky water. So now I'm going to come in. So there's my first pear. Here's my second pear. See how they kind of come into the edge of the shadows? There's a tiny little space between this pear and this one, little dark space. This comes out like this, down, and then over. Yeah, that's pretty good. Notice everything is still really light. I also might at this point add in my wall, right? And then maybe if I'm doing this, my table, the edge of my table versus the top of my table. I might have gone up too high in an angle. We'll see if I can fix this one. Obviously, I didn't get there quickly with my blankie enough. Let's bring that down. It's probably actually somewhere in between. There. All right. So now I've got these outer shapes. I'm going to go back in with my very light ink water and try and trace in the space between my light, my medium, and my dark shapes. How many values would you guys say are in this pear?
At least 3.
Yeah, or 4 actually, probably 5. You'll see when I send you the picture. Right. Yeah, it's a little tricky to see. And in fact,
I see 4 now.
Yeah, at least 4, perhaps 5. When you get up close. So Sandra, if you wanted to do this as a pastel, I might recommend that you start with like a neutral, kind of like a burnt sienna or something to do the outlines, something, and then you can start layering pastels in that reflect the different values.
But I'm okay doing this in ink. I've got some cool Chinese colored inks.
Ooh, I know everybody's having fun with the colored inks. So I will put up the color version later so you guys can see that.
Or maybe I should buy the colored ink and make it more fun.
You might like it better. You might like it better, Diana.
I got this.
Oh, wow.
It's only like $12 or so.
Yeah, it is really cheap. That's really true. I've got these fantastic.
It looks like watercolor, but it's Chinese ink.
Oh, how beautiful. All right. All right. So I have my basic values kind of mapped out here. So once I have my values mapped out, I'm going to go back in using my darkest layers. So Diana said to me, why don't you start with your lightest layers? But the truth is my lightest layers aren't getting anything. They're going to stay white. They're going to stay white on the paper. So for me, it's easier to build up my dark layers so that I don't go too dark. It's real easy if you start with lights or even mediums to get too dark at the beginning, and then your scale. So starting with the darkest values first. I'm glad you brought that up, Diana, because I've been thinking about it. Like, why do we start with the darkest values first? It helps to start with the darkest values because they set the stage. They set the bar for what everybody else is going to do, and I can build them up slowly. So I might dip into my ink at this point, back in my water, so that I have a darker, I still have a watery layer, but it's darker. And I can come in here. Oh, I just love this process. Is anybody else enjoying ink?
Yeah.
It's really pretty neat,
Emma
isn't it?
is really good.
What's that?
Emma,
Yeah, Emma is enjoying ink. She's gonna like painting too. I always feel like those of you who like ink, this type of ink, are gonna like painting. But then again, Diana doesn't like it and she loves painting, so that's not always true. But this is a very painterly way. So notice that already my lights are drying. And hold on, I want to turn this a little bit. So you can see it a little bit better here. Notice that already my my darks are starting to dry and get lighter. So I'm going to be building up my dark slowly. I can layer a darker color here. And then there's this kind of dark edge, which I'll probably also reinforce with the pen. But I'm really trying to pay attention to where my lights, my mediums, and my darks are going. I'm dipping back in the brush. Oop, I went a little bit dark there. Notice that, how much darker that is. I think it's okay because it's still in the darkest area, but still gonna come back in here with a waterier version. I just know I can always build my darks up later. And that's also the principle of watercolor. It's very different when you're doing pastel or acrylic or oil, which are my kind of first favorites. So you can see, I've got these darks going in. Now, because I'm waiting for these to dry, I'm gonna actually dip my pen once again in the water to do a lighter layer and maybe go in and do my mediums. I wanna make sure I have I want to make sure there's a difference. So you'll notice there are 5 tones in these pairs. There is if 1 is light and 5 is dark. So here's 1, and here is 5. There is still 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, 4. So I want to make sure that I can tell the difference between those values. Now, if you're using color, you can jump in and try and start testing colors for values. That's a totally valid thing to do. Okay, now that I've done this, I know I need to go back in and layer in just pure ink on my darkest areas so that there's a distinction. And notice everything here still looks pretty mushy. Also notice that if look what happened here. So I got a little bit eager, right? And this began bleeding. My dark began bleeding into my medium, my sort of medium dark, because it's still wet. So if you really want to have more control, you're going to let your darks, you're going to let your area dry before you add more color over it. Just notice that you'll get some bleeding. Sometimes that's really cool. Sometimes it creates this really gorgeous effect. Notice here, I'm letting this drip happen because I kind of like it. Notice how much lighter this got as it dried. I'm going back in here. If anybody wants to try ink, I have a supply list that's on the Reuters Art Class website. So you can see exactly what you need to buy. Because there's more than one way to do ink, right? So there's kind of specific materials that we use.
I like the idea of the Chinese ink. I'm gonna get that, the Chinese colored ink.
I hope they're ink rather than watercolors, but I took a Chinese painting course a few years ago, and we used those like to do wisteria, you know. So we used exactly those.
So notice I'm going from darker to lighter here. I can see that there's a slightly darker spot here. It might bleed a little bit into my layer. That's okay. I have a light here. And notice I'm kind of moving from subject to subject too. I'm really mostly working with 4s and 5s. I'm not really doing much work with the 3s and the 2s, which are really proper midtones. Midtones meaning they're in between dark and light. So I'm working with this, this, and this. Right. So let's get you in here. So notice how I'm making this dark. I'm going around my light. And then there's one little triangle in here that's darker. I might even get my brush. I'm still going to put it in water. And then I'm going to maybe lightly brush in with really watered down ink. My 3s and my 2s. Here is a 3. Notice my 3 looks a lot like my 4 right now. So I want to go back into my 4 and layer in a little bit more dark. That means adding a little bit more ink to my brush. Notice, see how I'm using my testing? See how I'm using my testing piece? Three and a 4. Now that looks like a good distinction between a 3. Now I add more water and I've got a 3 here. 3 kind of comes down here like this. There's kind of a 3 swooping up like this. I have to darken my 4, which means maybe 1 or 2 dips in the ink. I'm going to have to go back in and darken these edges too, probably. And then I'm going to darken my 3 a little bit. And then the other thing I can do is add my 3 in here, because that's pretty much what's happening. And I know, you guys, I'm perfectly aware. I probably are all sitting there and going, oh my God, does she really know how to paint? Those don't look very good yet. They still have what we would call the awkward phase. Because what I'm doing is I'm laying in this sort of basic colors. I'm going to leave the 2s and the 1s until a little bit later. I might go back in with straight ink and darken here. That here as well. See how I can start to kind of build up my lights and darks. How as I do this, this definitely area has more kind of force, but it still looks kind of funny. So what's going to make it look more finished? This guy, another kind of mark making. So now I'm going to dip my ink pen right into my ink bottle. And I'm going to notice that my ink, just to show you on the side here, whoops. Sometimes the ink, it's hard for the pen to grab the ink. You'll notice this is sort of very light. Strong contour lines. You can usually get 1 or 2 lines in before you have to dip again. So now I'm going to come back in here and do a contour line around most of my drawing, around most of each of the subjects.
Oh, it looks fantastic already. Just that made it
just
3D.
Adding that, like, definitely right. So that's the general rule I like people to get. You may not be able to see it so much on this side, but there is, all paintings and drawings are a combination of hard and soft edges and different kinds of mark making. So if you use your brush the same way all the time, you'll notice it's kind of boring. Like it looks flat. Your drawings look flat. Yeah, already it's got a little bit more strength. So we actually use different tools, right, to create different marks,
Yeah.
And that helps create kind of dimension. I'm going to start with like the outer edges here of each object, of each subject, the outer edges of the pear, and sort of defining the shadows. But I may go in and do more work. It just kind of depends. In this case, I let this area get a little mushy. It really helps. Oh, he's sleeping. When you're kind of working a light area, it really helps to give definition. Excuse me. So now I have a little bit more shape and I can start pushing some areas. If I want to, I can take this area and put it in. I can put this line in to define kind of a light, a medium, and dark areas too. Might help. So you see how these sort of combinations of lines really help things. I'm going to do it around the inner edge. Yep. Okay. And then like, as I'm continuing, I can now start laying in my lights, which I do with very, very light ink, right? Super watery. I have my blankie ready. This is kind of a, oh, yep, too dark, too dark. This is kind of a two, there's an area here that's sort of a 2, and then a 1 runs into it. So I'm trying to, and I still feel like it's a little bit dark, so I can kind of blot it out and make it lighter. So I can have some value in shadow definition there. Same here. Same here. I can go back in with my ink directly and add some stronger lines here if I want to. That can help. And I'm about to do something really fun. All right, before it, as I'm pushing my lights and my darks, but for it, hold on a second, I need one more thing. I can't help it. We've been spending so much time with the colors. So if I wanted to, I could start going into this background and making this like a 2 or a 3, right? Like this. I could do this all in one color. Or I have these really awesome watercolor inks. Look at this orange. See what happens when I do that. Maybe this will look terrible. I don't know. Oh no, that looks nice. So this works, oops, myself get a little bit dark, not only because the value is light enough, but what's the other reason? What's the other rule at play here, you guys?
Because it's opposite colors.
Yeah, composite, right? Oh my God, I'm so in right brain, I can't say what it is. It's complementary colors.
That's
right?
it.
So there are 3 like, oh my God. What are these things again? I totally forget. So you can see what happens when you lay light color in. Let me quickly get off here, and I want to, I'm going to build a thread. Give me 2 minutes to get a thread in.
So we can get the model, please.
Yeah, so you can get the model. So I'm going to remove this spotlight. I'm going to put the model up. Wait, yes. I'm going to put this up so you can see it. Can you guys all see that now? in color?
Yes, thank you.
All right, helpful, right?
Oh, I made the tail in the wrong direction.
Oh.
I couldn't see it.
So yeah, when I looked at this, I realized that this was a 4 and not a 5. And now that I see they've taken this color, look at it, it's like a bright red. All right, so let me build a new group. Today is October 5th. Well, it doesn't matter yet. Hold on. So I've got Annika. By the way, new people, Annika, Judy, I'm really happy you're here.
Thank you.
We are wanting these classes to grow, so it's good to have new people. I'm going to send you a bunch of things. I'm not going to leave you hanging here. I'll send you Natalia, Anik, Judy, Olga, Needy. Okay, got all of you. Yes. Okay. This is October 15th. Block 2 art. Okay. So the first thing I'll take a picture of is our grid. So you've got that kind of up close. There we go.
So Leah,
Yes.
can we use a color palette for this, to distinguish between the shade of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Mhm.
5 is obviously just the neat ink for 1 and 2, to maintain the consistency into the picture.
Yes. 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 All right, so all of you have the gridded black and white version sent to you. And you can start sending things to me. And
So,
also, yes.
I'm finding that when we found that animals' faces were more forgiving than humans,
Yes,
pears are even more forgiving.
they are really
Than
forgiving.
faces.
Well, and particularly this one, which is quite abstracted, right? And then done with fun colors. I'm doing a lot of, don't laugh, I mean, because I don't feel like, okay, I'm just gonna say it. I have been doing this work with my 11-year-olds as well. And they love it because it's so simplified, right? You can see the colors and the values like so simplified that they can actually kind of get their hands around it. So what I like about it is, but it's I teach kids basically the way I teach adults. So what I like about this exercise is I think the planes are very clearly established. The light, the medium, dark planes. When I use the term plane, I'm always talking about a piece of a subject going in one direction. So when there is a change in value, that means there's a change in direction. So this is one plane, this is one plane, this is a plane, this is a plane, these are planes, this is a plane, that's a plane, right? Every time there's a shift in direction, there's a shift in light change, shift in value. So there's fun, the planes are fun. And also the person who did the color version of this, it's so much fun. Let's see. Nice, Anik. So I would work, just notice, Anik, here as you're starting to build in this one, there's some complexity here.
I just wanted to show you something.
Let's see. Ah, are those watercolors or are those inks?
Yes.
Oh, so you're going to go in on top?
Can you show
No.
again? Can you show
Doing
it?
the second one with the color.
All right, the second one. So, oh, right. So pencil drawing and color. So she has some blocks of watercolors, Diana. She's going to try it with watercolor. Right on. So I love that. I love that Anik started with a one color value study, right? In black and dark and light, so that she can go back and be reminded of the values when she's going through and doing this in color. For some people, this is really hard. For some people, translation from value to color is difficult. What I like to remind people is it's always, like everything in drawing and painting, relational. So this color might be a 3 or even a 4 if it's put next to lighter colors. But because it's put next to darker colors, it becomes a 2. You get my point? And this color might be a 4, but it becomes a 3 when it's next to this 2, this 1, and this 4. So everything is really relational. Color changes depending on what it's next to. So your challenge is to see, like, does it look light? Does this color look light next to this color? Yellow is a really tricky one.
Why?
Because it can be so many different values, just depending on what it's next to.
Right.
And the type of yellow. So yellow is not like a 1 or a 2 always. Sometimes it can be like a 4 or a 5. So that's the tricky thing. As you know, Sandra, working with color.
Yes, I find it much easier to, like in pastel, certainly, to do values with color than with black and white, you know?
Yeah, I think you naturally see it. So this is just training you. So what I think is interesting is some people have no issues with color. Other people do. Some people really love like a monotone. For other people, it's hard. So it's more like doing both trains you up, right? It trains up a side, but to be aware that like it's easier to see value. It just shows you, I guess it's like anything, right? It's like learning to code or learning to write a news story or learning to use a new computer system. Everybody has a slightly different way. And it's important to kind of distinguish those things, like distinguish how do I personally, where's my strength? What do I see well? And how do I not see it well? And then practice. So for those of you participating in Inktober, talk to me about that experience. Are you enjoying it? Are you finding it annoying? Are you like finding it inspiring? How are you finding it? For those of you who don't know, I've built a thread on WhatsApp of people who are posting daily with ink drawings, and it's like popping. There is a lot going on there. So those of you who are doing it, tell me what you think. How do you like it?
I think actually it's amazing, and it's really very inspirational. It's not only about the things that you're like drawing, like painting with ink like every day. It's not only about the thing, but it's also about the group of people, because people there are like really amazing and they comment on everything, and we actually discuss some topics like moods and so on. So like people wrote that, oh, I had such a mood today, that's why I was drawing like flowers, so I was drawing forest or rain or mushrooms, and people discuss everything and like inspire everyone. And it usually happens that somebody draws like something like some mushrooms or some planets, and another one, oh, I also want to draw this now. So it's like really inspirational.
I agree. It's really emotional, isn't it? It's very connecting, even though you're not meeting each other like physically, and we're not having a live class, you're starting to get to know people. So I really like this because this is all my students you are, you know, I have students all over the place, and you are really meeting, that group is a collection of everyone. It's my Oregon students, because I live in the state of Oregon. It's my local students. It's you guys. It's my students who have traveled, you know, who live other places now. It's like really cool. Anyway, I'm enjoying it. It's a very sweet group.
It's really fun to see what everyone is doing.
And it's sweet to see people encourage each other, isn't it? So sweet.
Yeah. I'm behind though. I have a couple of, I haven't posted my last couple, but I will.
Just posted a couple pictures of Hermes for you guys, just because I know you want to see him.
Let's see. Yes, please.
Yes, I put him on he's looking outside.
Ah, sweet. He's getting big.
He's getting really big.
He's gorgeous.
He's really a sweetheart too. He still is jumping all over Muka in a bad way, so we have to figure out how to stop that. But I have now those pheromones that you give cats.
Oh yes,
you want them to
Feliway.
get along. Yeah, Feliway. I don't know if anybody else has tried them, but I'm trying them.
Well, I've tried them. It's never really worked for me, but I still do use them because
Right.
when I'm desperate.
Right. It takes the edge off. It does. For all of them, I think it takes the edge off. I just, huh. And I thought I've been really pushing you guys, so I wanted to give you subjects that were a little bit more simple, so you could kind of play around with materials and technique. You'll notice that because, oh God, what was I gonna say? Never mind, I'll get back to it. It'll come to me.
You're on the subject of subject.
I had it right. I was talking about subjects. Like sometimes it's really fun just to be able to play with the materials, right?
Right. It's always fun.
But I have been pushing you. I mean, I would say the whole summer, you all were pushed to the edge of your drawing skills. So this is like your reward for being good students and learning. And I just set down my phone and I don't know where it is. Oh, right here. I'm having like senior moment after senior moment.
So we all.
What did I do with the phone? It is not in the holder. Oh my God. Okay, my phone is somewhere. I did just use it. Oh, wait. I think it's under my.
You could call yourself.
I could if I had my phone.
Shall we call you?
Is my WhatsApp. Hold on, it's here somewhere. Where are you? If anyone gets tired of this, I've got a second one of these, another pair exercise that's really neat. So, oh, there it is. I just moved my table. That was really a senior moment. Sorry, guys. There he is.
Anyone tried ink sticks and ink stone? Like you prepare the ink.
Yes, I used to do that. It's a lot more work.
But is it
Yeah.
fun?
I'm
I
tempted.
suppose. It doesn't hurt to try.
To say before that I think what's nice about I'm not normally into still lifes. I find them a little bit boring. But some days, that's all I have the energy for is a still life. And I find still lifes comforting. Like I love the look of these 3 pears. They're beautiful. They make me think about home and being nourished and being fed, you know, and all this about the beauty of simple things. So one can get very into, and I think this particular artist who did this set, they did a really good job of conveying the complexity of this beautiful thing. You know, I think it's so I think they can be really great. You'll hear me say a lot of sort of contrary things. I don't like pencil, but I actually love pencil. I don't like still life, but sometimes I love still life. Sometimes it's absolutely perfect. So what I'm really doing is kind of delineating what I'm good at naturally, what I'm not good at. And I'm sort of I always enjoy the things. I always like sort of taking a thing I don't like and doing it until I figure out something I like about it. So it's, you know, it's a fun, anyway, it's just fun. It's one of the fun things about art. You'll never get tired. Sandra, are you still having to work through all this, or do you have some time off?
They're being very flexible. So there's a system whereby if you want to take more than 5 days in a row, you need to ask for disability. And apparently the people that you deal with are complete nightmares. It's a third party.
Right.
So I'm trying to delay that.
As much as possible. So you're going to work every, like a couple of days?
So I'm working, but obviously when I have chemo, they're giving me like a couple of days off.
Great.
They're being very nice and flexible.
And you have to do chemo how many times a week? Just once a week?
So I have to do it every other week, 4 times. It's normally you have to do it this regimen every 3 weeks, but because the cancer is so aggressive, they're I think accelerating. Yeah, I've only done 1 dose so far, and I'm still feeling sick from it. So. The worst part is that it's probably cumulative, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
Like the second is harder than the first.
It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, you have to focus on the end result.
Well, and I guess I will feel better after the 4 doses. They check whether it's actually working. And if it is working, that will make me feel 100% better. Because at the moment, I don't even know whether I'm doing this for nothing.
Right. Oh, I know it's kicking. I know it, Sandra. I know it. You don't know it, but I know that chemo is kicking your cancer's ass.
It's kicking my ass, so I'm certainly hoping.
Yeah, that's a byproduct.
Kicking the cancer.
Fuck that little cancer, dude. It can go fuck itself. It just gets to go right back into dormancy, into remission.
Well, hopefully more than that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's only. I think you can get rid of it completely. I'm hoping.
All right. If you want to see something here, Sandra, I'll take this. Will like. Here we go. Here he is. Come on, show your auntie Sandra what you can do. What?
Oh, he's so big.
He is so big.
Oh, the Pear's changed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're very
Oh
nice.
yeah, sorry. Oops. Right, that was the second pair. Sorry, I did that.
So
Here,
they
let's do
almost
that.
look like stained glass because there's the black lines in between.
Isn't that neat? I really like that look. I think a lot of people really like that look. I love it.
Well, these other ones look like kind of cubism. I don't know.
Yeah. So I was like, if I knew that this was simple enough that if we got bored, we might want to move to another one. So I have this one sort of queued up and ready here, if you guys want to do it, or I can send it to people. But I think this one is quite nice. It's got all of the elements, nice lights and darks.
I'm just at violet, so please leave it here.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, let's see if I'm getting anywhere. I thought I was going to finish this today. It doesn't look like it.
Well, you're getting to the nuances. Are you working with her? Are you working with your head right now?
Yeah.
Okay, send it over. Let me see.
I am. I'm trying to get the straight picture. Okay.
All right. Oh yeah, getting there. You know, Diana, you in the photo.
Yeah.
Really, your whole left side, right side is so much darker. So really, anywhere the highlights aren't. Yeah.
Darken the right side.
Yeah, darken that. I would glaze it with maybe a purple, a sort of purple with a little bit of ochre in it to make it a little bit muddy. I would do kind of a glaze to push everything back, and that might help.
Okay. I've actually used a lot of medium, what do you call it? Medium, right?
Gamsol or Gamvar or varnish or
yeah. I've been working with that to keep the color supple and
yeah.
it's actually not as dark as the left side is. The right side is not as dark as the left side is.
Right, because it's mostly areas of darkness, but you still have to treat the right side like everything is darker, including the lighter areas. And that's the sort of thing that's continuing to pop out.
Yeah, okay, I'll start with a glazing.
Yeah, that's why I was like, glaze it. I mean, you can pull it back and forth if you need to, but your lights. So your lights on it took me a long time to get this, that like, of course, right? The face is lit equally on the light side and the dark side. So because of the bone structure, the light areas are light and the dark areas are dark. But on the dark side of the face, your lightest areas are going to be darker than the lightest areas on the light side of the face.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that's hard to kind of wrap your mind around. You just think this is light, this is dark. Oh, how do I handle that?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I think some of the contrast might be too strong as well.
Do you have a thumb? I'm not trying to be.
What the hell?
Dramatic, but it.
I'm very excited to show you guys pastels. I love ink, but I am completely pumped. I am going to post a pastel supplies list on the Reuters art page. So you can go and find it there. I'll also send it to to all the leaders, all of the people who are spreading the information out in their regions, so that you can start picking stuff up. Needy, you won art supplies at the students show. So you should tell me what you would like. What are you kind of hoping? Would you like us to order you a set of pastel-y things and send them for you? Or do you have that stuff? Is there anything in particular you're wanting?
I would like to have colors,
Yeah,
watercolors
pastel.
maybe, or the ink colors. Yeah.
How
I
about
don't have color.
pastels? How about
Okay.
pastels? Let me send you all of the pastel materials so that you're ready for November.
Okay.
And we'll start with that. So before, can you text me your mailing address?
Yeah, sure.
And then do you guys use, is there an Amazon that do you use the British Amazon? Is there an Indian Amazon? Is there
There's an
like,
Indian Amazon.
okay. Can you send me that? Okay, so
Okay.
that's probably the easiest way for me to send you, to get you stuff sent. So I'm going to search on there to find out.
Okay.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi.
Who's listening to the radio?
Yeah. Diana, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Shall I turn it up?
Yes, please. Thank you.
in one of our classes on the West Coast last week, we listened to one of my favorite audiobooks, The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. It is really fun to listen sometimes to podcasts or I like
What is
listening to
it called,
music.
Leo?
It's called The War of Art. Oh, you would really appreciate it, Sandra. And the audio version is fantastic. Although the book itself is tiny, very thin. It talks about being an art professional, like if you're a creative, like how do you do it? But it really relates to, regardless of whether you make your living as a creative, you know, doing creative work or not, it really talks about like what stops us from doing art. And
daily life.
It's really, and it's very funny. It's very, very funny. It's like hilarious. So Stephen Pressfield wrote, you might know him. He wrote The Legend of Bagger Vance, which became, he does a lot of like sort of modern interpretations of Greek classics. And he talks about, I mean, he's been writing for like 40 years. And he talks about his failures, like his excessive failures at writing, at his mistakes in the writing process. And one of my favorite stories of him is that he spent his 20s, you know, kind of avoiding doing his creative work, and it just screwed everything up. Like he ended up divorcing his wife, and he said at one point he was living in this terrible apartment in New York City, and he was driving a cab for a living, and he had this whole, and then one day he said, I just couldn't avoid it anymore. So he pulled out a typewriter. Gives you a sense. There are two things that date the story. One is that he says his apartment cost $150 a month in New York.
Which you could barely afford, right?
Impossible. That would be absolutely impossible. The other is, oh, Anik, that's so fun.
I don't know if it's actually coming along because I feel completely overwhelmed by the fact that it's first time with watercolors.
Okay, that's all right.
Since my son was born.
Just keep pushing that. Just keep. So you're in joy right now. You're having joy, a little bit of overwhelm in all of this. So let me tell you, because Anik, this story might apply to you. So he's been avoiding his work, avoiding writing. He finally pulls out a typewriter. So that also dates the story for you, right? And he writes for he types on the typewriter. He writes something for I don't know, 2 hours. And then he said it's total crap. Like, you know, once he finished it, he threw it out. But he felt better. And he said he had 6 weeks of dishes that had piled up in the sink, and he started doing the dishes. And he says he remembers really vividly this feeling of washing the dishes and the feeling of this hot sudsy water on the dishes and how good that felt. And that's because regardless of whether it's good or bad, the creative work, doing the work makes you feel better, because soulfully your work wants to come out. And so you can avoid it and all kinds of terrible things will happen. But if you sit down and do it, lots of reasons people don't do creative work is because they don't have time, right? You have a kid, you think it's not going to be any good, so you worry about that. He doesn't care. He's like, I don't care whether my work is bad or good. I just don't care. I care if I don't do it. I know that if I do it, that the time I'm not doing it, I'll be thinking about it and, you know, fixing it. So I don't really care, like whether, you know, my first, and he wrote, and like he also tells the story about he and a colleague wrote the screenplay for like Aliens 3 or Aliens 2 or something like that. And they were so excited because they thought they had this great movie. And so he got this contract, the movie was made, and they rented a local movie theater so that their friends could come and watch it. And the movie was so awful. It was so bad that everybody left. Like they all stayed politely to hang out until the end, and then he said no one could look him in the face afterwards. So then he started going to like suburban movie theaters and asking the ticket taker, what about Aliens 3? You know, and the ticket taker was like, man, that stunk. So he talked about being depressed about that. And then his friend said, what are you talking about? You're in the game. So you don't win all the time, but you're in the game. You wrote a big movie. So what if it stinks? Make the next one better, right? So that is kind of the way he talks about art, is like, you know, why do we avoid the creative work? We avoid it because we want it to be perfect. Oh, that is just the death knell of any artist. Any student who's ever said to me, I have something in my head and I just can't get it to look like that on paper, is gone, because they are stuck with a fantasy and not the reality, right? There's no flexibility in how things come out. And there's definitely a deep non-acceptance of what your work actually looks like and where you are in the process. And so it's just very helpful. You know, it's just, we are our own worst enemy when it comes to creative work.
Definitely.
Yeah, right. So that feeling of overwhelm, that tells you, Anik, that this is something you should be doing. As you know, I know you know that. You're smart. I know you don't. I know that you're aware of that, but I'm just spelling it out for you. That your soul is going, oh my God, she finally bought the color out.
I'm surprised that those are still working, because I bought them like years ago. So
well, watercolor is pretty sturdy.
resistant. Luckily.
I imagine when we've all gone to apocalypse, there'll still be watercolor cockroaches and watercolor palettes.
And share. Don't forget about
and share. And share. Looking just as good. Hi, boo.
Exactly.
I sent you some pears, Leo.
Let's see.
Maybe the shadow is too much the same color.
Let me see. Oh, Sandra, it's lovely. Yeah, lovely. Absolutely lovely. Beautiful brushwork. Wonderful shaping. I like the color that you picked for the table. And I like the, yeah. I mean, yeah, technically, what if you went over with a dark here and just outline that a little bit
Sorry,
darker?
hold on, I can't see. A dark where, right
Here.
You mean
this
the
edge?
black line?
Yeah,
the
black
purple?
line. The black line. And that'll help distinguish your purples as in their values.
Okay.
I really love what's happening here in your piece. I love what's happening right here. It's beautiful. This little tiny tip of light. Oh, good. It's delicious. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Annika, wonderful. Gorgeous. Beautiful mark making. Ah, we've got painters here. We got painters here. Lovely.
I see your house, not the pears. And your kitty.
And my kitty, yeah. I thought you guys would be entertained. He's kind of snoozing right now. And with the new arrangement, I can kind of sit next to him.
Oh, looking straight into the camera.
Come on, look at everybody. Look at everybody.
Oh, I just woke up.
He's like, I'm sorry. I know that when he does, he will start tearing around and doing mischief. Won't you? You'll be doing mischief.
But so he doesn't sleep with you?
He does. So what's happening is I sleep with him. So I put him in the studio at night because he just attacks Muko relentlessly at night.
Right.
But I sleep with him. So
you sleep in the studio?
I sleep in the studio. I have a bed in the studio. So right now I'm sleeping with him.
And
half the time he sleeps with, yeah. I mean, half the time he lets me sleep, and half the time he sleeps with me, and half the time he's somewhere else. He's like on this little thing, or he likes switching around. He doesn't sleep much at night. He runs around a lot.
Because I must say, this new generation of cats, they're fantastic. They let me sleep most of the time.
Really?
Unless a bug comes into the bedroom and then they hunt.
And then they're losing their minds.
But I expect them to. I don't want bugs in the bedroom.
Yeah.
But they're fantastic. My previous generation, they were horrendous. I couldn't sleep. They'd wake me up really early. These guys, I'm the one who wakes them up in the morning. If I want to sleep till 11, they sleep till 11.
That's I would say that he is somewhere in between. He kind of like roams at night. What I can't do is I can't have him alone with my elderly cat at night because he
Right.
just goes bananas. He seems to lose his mind between 10
They get
10
excited.
and midnight, and he just can't stop jumping on her. So that's when he goes out to the studio. And then when I go to bed, I will either come and spend a couple of hours sleeping with him and then go back into the house, or I'll stay all night. And because I want him to, be socialized.
You're
he
not
likes
cold in
it.
the studio?
No, I have a heater in here, and I have a whole bed up in my
Oh,
loft.
good.
It's all set up. But my hope is to get him into the main, get him more integrated.
I think he'll settle down, By the time you're 2 years old, they're just very laid back.
Yeah.
They just when they're kittens, but they're like that.
Well, yeah, and he was, born with 2 other kittens that he rolled around with all the time, and young mother and a young aunt who they all played, and he just doesn't, he just has to get used to Muka. And he has to calm down. Yes, and he's getting neutered very soon, so that will also probably help.
That would help.
Yeah. But he's a very sweet cat. He makes eye contact. He's always like kind of looking. Hey, puppy. Hey. Of course, now he's not, because now he's got his back to me, because I said I was bragging that you make eye contact, don't you? Don't you? Yeah. I'm also not going to let him go outside unless he's in a little catio that my boyfriend is building.
Oh, good, because it really shortens their life,
It shortens their lives, and also it shortens the life of every other animal around. So
yes,
just like he's a real hunter, so I just don't want him killing birds. He doesn't need them.
No, I'm not letting my cat outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I let my guys out, but it's fenced really high for them. And I do keep an eye on the birds.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a cat question. We have so many experts here.
Yes.
Yeah, so I have to take
lovely.
Because there is this cat where we have our summer house in the country, and his owners, he's half wild and about 7 years old, and his owners pretty much left him there. They're like just, one local family, 2 local families living there all year round.
Mm-hmm.
And the question is if he moving, he's used to freedom, the forests, and he the only option is like moving him to the city.
Yeah, and living in an apartment.
And if I think they actually are just trying to do that for the winter, they will, because
it's too cold, right?
It's too cold.
Yeah, it will be. I think the winter will be like, yeah.
You know what my experience is? It differs from cat to cat. Some cats are naturally like people oriented, and they just come like, they will appreciate that. Others can't sort of shake the feral side, their wild side. So it just depends from cat to cat. I think it's worth trying.
Yeah.
I think
they get used to it.
They do, right. And they love being safe.
You like the comfort.
They do like the comfort.
The warm places.
Yeah.
It's safer for him. He might not be, it might take a while to settle down, but it's safer for him.
I agree.
And he can always,
Emma, lovely.
It's our neighbor from like Tree City, from Gdańsk, and he will be coming back. So he will be bringing him when he travels. So
nice.
It's really cold in winter, right?
Yeah, it can. Last year it was like pretty.
Wasn't that much?
We didn't have snow even. Oh, I
don't know. Needy and Emma, very nice work. Nice work. And notice how different these are. So these are value studies. These are just black and whites. All right, Needy, I'm going to send you some colored inks, and we'll send you some pastels, because I can see you would enjoy colored inks. I think they might be fun.
Yes, but in this, sorry to interrupt you, but in this painting, the things are not looking very natural, like
Well,
the
it's
first
not
and the second shade is like the second shade is like a planned one, kind of
the
thing, which is happening in this. In
the.
my
se-
case, though in original it is not like that. The
I
blend
think
is not
it's.
there.
I think it's fine. I think it actually looks great. I like it. I think it looks. I think it looks like your mark making. Look at Sandra's next to yours. Look at Emma's next to yours. Look at Onyx, which she just sent through. They all look different, but they all look like pears on a table. Pears are forgiving. Like you
Yes,
don't have to make them.
like
And I
faces.
actually really like your dark light. I like your mark making on these pieces, particularly on this one here. I love this white shape. I think you got really nicely. I like the way it's kind of floating in this medium sea. I love it. And that little dark edge here. I really think you're paying great attention to values. And because of that, your pears are really feeling alive. Now, of course, this is a very abstract, stylized way of looking at a pear, and you're copying that, right? You're all copying that.
Yes.
But that's what the intention is. That's what you're supposed to be doing. This is not supposed to be a realistic pear. It's not supposed to be something that looks exactly like. So notice, I really appreciate your dark, light, and your medium mark making. I think it's pretty cool. I like what everybody's doing. I like Onyx too. I love Sandra. Sandra, this is really beautiful, actually. Just wonderful. I like Annika's happening there. I love what's happening. Anybody else want to send anything over? Actually, let's do this. Hold on. I'm going to pull this down for a second. I'm going to spotlight you. So you can, one at a time, I'm going to call on you. And let's see, I am going to start with Annika. Annika, I'm going to spotlight you. So you're going to be big for everyone. Can you hold up your piece so we can see it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. Annika, how are you appreciating the ink mark making? Are you liking it?
I like it a lot, but
It's
I get into trouble. It runs, and I'm like, well.
But sometimes the running can be a nice texture addition that you
Yes.
shouldn't make on your own, right? That's what I like to think of with ink. Very nice. Sandra, hold it up.
Oh,
Let's see. Hold on. I'm getting you. Hold on. There we are. Geez, it's even more beautiful in person. It's like stunning. Just gorgeous. Yep.
Yeah.
See how darkening that edge really helped?
Right. It doesn't look
Okay.
stunning to me, but
Yeah. Natalia, hold it up.
I have this tiny paper I'm testing. I'm obsessed
Let's
with
see.
testing.
Oh,
It's
with
a
the
bit
rice
dark
paper?
here.
oh, it's nice.
Oh, is that the rice paper?
And no, it's actually a recycled paper I got for charcoal.
Oh.
Also supposed to handle ink. So I thought
I
it's a bit-
love the way the ink is kind of running a little bit. It's creating really gorgeous textures.
Yes. I'm testing everything these days.
I love it. I love it. All right. Annika. Annik, hold it up. Ah, yes. Your watercolors have been missing you. Look what she's doing with the background, you guys. So fun. All right, Needy, turn on your video so we can see. I want you to hold yours up. Here, hold on.
I don't know how to do that, to be honest.
Where are you?
1 second.
All right, here, I'll come back to you. I'm going to go to Diana and then I will. Here we go. Diana, hold up what you're working on. Diana, of course, is working on her painting. It's really coming along. It's really coming along nicely.
Wow.
Yep. Yep. Very nice. Judy, let's see yours. Hold yours up. Oh,
Very
Judy,
nice.
it's beautiful.
Oh,
Judy
that's nice.
just started class last week.
Wow.
It's so great.
That's
I'm
amazing.
so glad you're with us.
Oh,
Obviously, you should be doing this. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying?
Yes, I enjoy this.
Ah, it's beautiful. Keep working. Carry on. Keep working. All right, Needy. Let's get you up here. Show us what
Yes.
you got. I love this. Look at how strong. Do you guys see how strong her dark, medium, and
I
lights
love
are?
it.
Yeah,
love
I
it.
really like the mark making on this. It's really
Great.
so Needy. Don't worry so much about like, is it exactly like what you see? Because it's reading very well, very
Oh,
well.
thank you.
All right. And art supplies are coming to you. So don't forget to send me your mailing address through WhatsApp.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Let's see, where are we? We have Sandra, Annika. Okay, Olga. Isn't this cool? Oh,
it's very nice and
Olga!
colorful.
That's so sweet. Yeah.
Oh. So Olga, don't forget to do a line on the light side of that pear on the, you know. All right, I think I'm becoming very like
Avocado.
gorgeous. All right, Emma, can you turn on yours for a second? We'd like to see what you're doing in person. Emma Thomason. Where are you? All right. Here,
Sorry,
I'll
I'm
look.
actually working, so I can't.
Oh, you
Sorry.
can't? All right. All right. All right.
Sorry.
Okay. That's cool. I'm glad you're still, I'm glad you're still filling in. I'm glad you're still doing our class, even if you're working. I'm glad your priorities are in order, young lady.
I'm telling you, writers.
Oh yeah, Reuters knows. If they want to keep their people healthy, they got to be able to get to our class. Nice work, everybody.
That was fun. Thank you.
I know somebody taught me how to do that last week. So I was like, I've been really struggling to try and, because you can't control Zoom in a lot of cases. And then somebody said, hit the spotlight button. Then you can automatically make your screen big and everybody's screen big. Which
But I mean, it was
a
a fun subject. I feel much better than when I started.
That's good, Sandra. That's good.
Kind of replenished some energy.
Would you like me to mail? I can email anybody here the other one, this guy. Do you have another one to work on?
Probably not. I have too many projects on. I mean, like I have cats halfway done and other cats I want to do.
You got
but cats. I'm not finding that. It's going to be much better now. I'm finished with all the tests.
Right.
But I just spent 3 weeks just in hospitals in and out. And
right. And not knowing.
All my time.
And the not knowing is probably the, the sucky thing. Now at least you know the enemy.
You wake up in the middle of the night thinking you're going to die in 3 weeks.
Yeah, it's scary.
You're not.
You're not.
You're gonna be...
I'm hoping not. I have things to do, including
a lot of cats.
I want to do a lot more pastels. So.
Oh, so check this out, Sandra. Here we go. One of my my studio assistant took some fantastic pictures of. I think this is the picture you're looking for with Hermes. Hold on. Dang it. Because she got his eyes. Here. See if I can forward this over to our WhatsApp. Oh, I'm just going to send it straight over to you.
Great.
It's gone to your text. I'll try and post it as well. But you can see how blue his eyes are, and I know you like that. So if you're inspired, you can totally work on him. You don't have to.
Where did you send it? Because
I just texted it to you. Oh, not on WhatsApp, on your regular phone.
Oh, right.
Thank you, Needy. Got it. Here, I'll see if I can get this in. Here, I'll put it up here. Here's one. There's one. He's looking very handsome. I don't
see it.
Here, I just sent one across the WhatsApp thread.
Oh, thank you.
But you do a lot of commission work too, right, Sandra?
Not really. I did a couple, and thank God I don't have any at the moment because I couldn't.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I love that.
I thought you'd like it because
serious.
He's all serious. Well, the next one here, which is him being in a goof.
But yes, that's the kind I like.
Yes, and here's another one. He sticks out his tongue a lot.
Oh, it's funny because my rabbit does that, and I love it.
Yeah.
Rabbit most of the time has got his tongue out.
Yeah. So here is that one. Here, wait, here's that one. But you can really see his eyes.
That's what I like the face up close with the
No, they
eyes.
look
Good
sort of
lighting.
like goofy, like it's such a goofy like tendency.
That's
I
a very
know.
cute one.
I know. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm totally like I'm
love with him.
totally
Why wouldn't you
sending.
be?
Oh, I see. I sent that just to Needy. All right, so there you go. Hold on. I'll send it to all of you.
Privileged
He has
one.
his tongue out a little bit.
Here it is. Sandra, this is the one. There we go.
Ah, yes. Also, that's very nice. But you know, in the first one, he also has his tongue out.
He does.
My
He pretty much always has his tongue
My
out.
rabbit is like that, and I absolutely love it. Absolutely
Yeah, it's
love
just
it.
a thing. It's just a habit, isn't it? It's like a thing
It's
that
a
they do
habit,
for
but it makes
comfort.
him look so cute. I mean, it's like
I know, it's sort of dorky.
even like when he's ready, kind of to fight, he's like he's got his tongue out, and it just looks.
Oh,
it looks
Ani,
so
these
funny.
are gorgeous. Very nice. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Have
I arrived
fun.
at the moment I don't want to touch it anymore.
Yeah. Good. Always a good option, particularly with ink because it's easy to go too far, right?
Yeah. I mean, with the watercolors is the same.
Oh, he's doing great. He's doing great, Emma. It's just tell George to try it in charcoal. It might be easier. The shading might be easier. Pencil
I was trying to
shading.
persuade him to do it in ink, but I think he quite likes using the pencil.
All right. So if he uses it, it just takes. Just tell him it's how long it takes. It's looking great though. It's really coming along. I can see George is pushing to be in the next student show whenever we have that. Like Oscar.
Thanks, Fabrizio. That's exactly what I wanted for Hermes. Yep.
If you would like to work on it, you're welcome. You don't have to.
Thank you.
No expectation here. But
I will.
If you're looking
mean,
for subjects and it's that finally she got the light right.
I love his color eyes.
I know he's just so cute.
He's got these gorgeous colors.
Yeah. All right.
Is he very soft?
Yeah, he's pretty soft. He's short-haired though, so not super fluffy. Yeah.
My lion is amazingly soft. Bengals are usually very soft, but lion is like, wow.
Yeah, I miss my Bengal. I miss my Bengal.
You had a Bengal?
Yeah.
No.
I'll see if I can find a quick picture. I'll send it.
They're very naughty when they're young, though.
They are. Yeah, really energetic.
They're very energetic and they're very intelligent, so they get into mischief. And they're very athletic.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find a picture of King Tut.
He passed away?
No, it's a long, long story.
Oh, is that the cat? You went to court. What happened?
Well, she didn't get any money, but she's had him locked up now for 7
years.
months.
Right.
So
but did she win the cat or not?
Well, I gave up my claim on the cat because she had had him locked in for so long. I didn't think it was fair on the cat.
Yeah.
But he'd lived with us for 7 years.
Tony, right?
Sad. But
I didn't know he was.
You
a
should
Bengal.
get one. You know, there are many rescue.
She'll probably try to take that one too.
There are many rescue Bengals, you know, that are looking for homes. And...
I don't know if the rest of you guys know this, but Diana was just sued by her neighbor for $10,000. She failed, the lawsuit failed, but they actually had to go to court because a cat that we're not sure where it came from. The neighbor claims it was hers. This neighbor's cat did not like staying with the neighbor and stay with Diana. Kept coming over to Diana's house, stayed at Diana's house for years. Tony, right? Tony the cat?
No, King Tut.
King Tut,
right, King Tut. And recently, like just 2 or 3 weeks ago, she had to go to court because the owner was claiming that she had tried to steal this cat. It's absurd.
Picture by our mailbox.
I was surprised that it even went to court. I'm glad the judge. There he is. Oh, King Tut.
Oh, let's see.
He's on the thread.
Ah, sweet.
Yeah.
Ah, what a shame. I would. That must be very hard to lose him.
It is. But she keeps him locked up, and you know, he was an outdoor cat, or indoor outdoor, I should say.
Right. Yeah.
But now he's an indoor cat.
I suppose it's safer for him.
Yeah, it is.
You live in California?
Yeah.
So it's warm all year long, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
There are many Bengals in California. That's where they started.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're wonderful cats, though.
Oh, they're amazing. They're very good companions because they're so intelligent and interactive.
Yeah. But I enjoy my little Julia too.
Oh, Julia, she's a cutie.
She's so different from King Tut. But my dog likes Julia better than he liked King Tut.
Well, King Tut would have been a little bit more territorial, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Colors needs patience, actually, right? I said sometimes I realize that colors, they need patience. You know, they are sort of like, you have to be very patient with them.
With the
compared to the sketches.
And well, because
sketches.
you have, right. What I was talking about at the beginning of class is that you have to relate color to value, and it's relational. It depends on what's next to the color, what value it is. So for some people, it's harder. For some people, that is not a natural, easy thing to tell. For other people, it's easy. For some, it's hard. So the challenge is you need to make sure that the color matches the value. And so is that color
I think that will come
enough?
to me through practice, you know, otherwise I'm just copying whatever is given, you know.
Right, right. But that's my point
the things on my own.
Right, right. Like that's what I and when I say some people, this is easy for some people, it's not easy for others. That doesn't mean that like some people are better at art and some people aren't. It just means that there are so many things to pay attention to in art. And one of those things is translating color to value. That's why I have you guys work in black and white, because I want you to really get that. But why I ultimately showed you this piece here. Oh, I didn't even put it up. Sorry, I didn't even put it back up. I ultimately showed you this piece in color because I want you to see how color translates to value, right? This red leads like a 4. And this really is a 5. And this is like, this is darker than this. Well, these are actually pretty similar in value. And these are much lighter, even though they're shadows, they're more like a 3, right? So you have to pay attention to that stuff as you're going along. And sometimes it can be confusing. In truth, what's usually confusing about it is, once again, our left brain ideas. So our idea that yellow is a light color, for example, is tricky, right? Our idea that blue is a dark color can get in the way of our seeing what is this particular blue doing, what is this particular yellow doing. And it all depends, it really literally depends on what's next to it. So yes, I guess that would be the challenge with color. Are you, do you want to show us what you're working on, Needy? Do you want to hold it up?
Oh.
Or take a picture? Here, hold on. Let me stop the share for a second and highlight you. Let's see. Oh, are you not looking? Are you not working in color?
No.
Oh, I thought you said colors require patience, and I thought you were working
Yeah,
in color.
because no,
Never
because the
mind.
thing is that you need to wait for them to dry.
Yes.
Otherwise, it merges. That way, the time
Yes.
wise. And the
Yes.
second thing is like I've seen some of the people, they have painted yellow, orange, and all. My thinking process is very bad with the contrast. Maybe because of the country I belong to. Here, the way we look at the colors is slightly different. So we'll go for pink with, or maybe I should put it like, if you have to build a contrast, we'll go with dark green with orange or yellow.
So you're
Whereas if
telling
you look
me
at the,
every Indian is gonna do dark green, orange, and yellow, or is that just a common color
no, if you
combination?
yeah, if you ask them what's the best, like suppose you have some a cloth in green, and if you want to build something which is in contrast or goes with it, the first uh, reaction will be yellow.
Right.
Whereas and they both are very bright.
That's
Sometimes
true. Definitely
they both are.
your environment and all of those things are affected by what colors are picking.
Yeah.
You're picking. Yeah.
Yes, so that's why when I look at some of the colors, I realize, oh, this color is very soothing, but I've not seen it in India. Like especially my favorite color is green, and the shades of green I like in any form. And we have some normal conventional colors here, not the very what do you say, the soft, mild kind of, the calmness of the color is not there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what
When we go,
everybody says about India. It's vibrantly colorful. Like
yes,
there's
very,
beautiful
very
color.
yeah, very
Yeah.
beautiful, very different types of different textures of, but all towards on the brighter side of the colors,
Yeah, yeah.
not the milder side of it.
Yep, that's fantastic. So so we'll be looking forward to seeing what you do with color, along with all your colleagues from India. It'll be interesting to see. And it's also an interesting point of what are you around all the time? What are you used to? It's funny, I live in a very gray part of the world. Gray and green.
Really?
Very gray and green. Yeah.
Mm.
Portland is very gray and green most of the year. It rains. And it's funny, I have noticed that although I am a colorist for sure, that my paintings have started to shift over to grays. A lot more grays. Like it's just naturally happening because, but when I lived in areas and countries that were more vibrant, the colors tended to, when I lived in Armenia, I had a lot of red, and I still have red in my paintings, but I used red in a different way. So I think you're onto something there, Needy. I think there's ways that different locations, different cultures, different ways people use color will influence you. But the truth is, you just have to be there for a little while, and then it starts to seep into
Yes.
you. You can't really avoid it. It's just there.
Yes.
Like you said, like the first color you think of is a vibrant green.
Yes.
Nothing muted, nothing neutral, right? And I have moved towards what are for me, I'd say fairly muted colors in much of my paintings to really push my brights. So my brights read really bright because everything else is kind of neutral around them. And that's a new thing for me. So that is like, it's funny. Maybe it's possible that is happening partly because of where I live.
Yeah. And second thing I find difficult is merger of colors. So when I tend to merge colors, I get a straight line, whereas it should be a smooth flow, the blend, and then transition to the new color. Sometimes I face problem in that. So for this for this ink thread also, Inktober also, I tried to use, there was a painting, it was actually a scenery from Iran.
Right.
And I've written a lot about that country. So there is some kind of attachment with Iran and the beauty. And I wanted to give, there was a greenery, and with green, the different shades of green, they have shown the level of the ground there, that it's going up and down, the uneven level of the ground and all.
Yeah.
And the plateau, but I somehow could not do it with the colors that I have.
Well, yeah, that's just mixing. Yeah, also,
yes.
it's not just mixing. It's not just mixing. There's a layering process that
exactly
happens.
That's the word, layering.
There's a layering process that we're going to talk about when we start painting.
I would also say don't be afraid for the colors to smudge, because it's nice when they bleed into one another.
Yeah, yeah. That's really what you're talking about is painting, the main thing that the main technique that we learn in painting is creating edges, soft edges, blending. And with a paintbrush, there's many ways to do it. And then of course, each material is different. So blending in watercolor and blending in ink is a little bit different than blending in oil or acrylic, but blending is what you're going to be practicing. And that's the hardest thing. Like,
Yes.
blending is everything in painting. And so that is the thing that you need to get with practice. And what we will do is I'll be showing you we're going to be painting different subjects where different mark making is required, different types of blending. So my hope is that you'll get better at it as you guys do it. But that is it. That's the practice. It's the 20 years of practice. Like, it's not a one-time thing.
So Leah, in case you zoom your camera towards my screen, I would like to show you one which I made of green. It's basically, I didn't like it, And then I tried, I saw some of the YouTube videos and then I tried. So this is the first one.
Hold on, let me try that. Oh yeah, your greens are too much the same right now.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Apart from this, the curve, which is depicting some kind of leveling. Otherwise, it's all same. Whereas the natural...
Almost all landscape greens. So here's something that you wouldn't know, and it's completely intuitive, and we'll talk about it. Almost all landscape greens have some red in them.
Really?
Okay.
Yep, almost all of them. So virtually, there's no way to find a green that looks like nature without mixing a touch of the complement in. So that's what that's what you don't know, and that's what we'll be talking about as we move to color. As we move to color, that's all we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
So and then I made this. I saw some of the YouTube videos on blending, and I made this one. Slightly better than the other one. The green
yeah. And you don't have as much, they're more primary colors, less neutral stuff.
Yeah.
But the issue is it's mixing. It's how you mix your colors.
It's mixing and the stroke also, Otherwise it's just like one layer of cream, the other for the camel color and something like this. But
don't worry, we're going to go over all of this.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. Don't think you should know it, because it's a whole practice. Like, that is you know what I mean? Like, that's the, how do I say it? Like, that's the practice. So that's the thing that's really cool about this whole idea, is that there's a lot of tricks to painting that aren't, just like there's tricks to drawing that we have been exploring. So we've been exploring the tricks to drawing. There are tricks and ways of thinking about painting that you need to learn. And one of those things that's crucial is understanding the role that complementary colors play in paint mixing, but also to understand how much neutrals play into painting bright, colorful scenes. So we think that every color should be a bright, when you're at the beginning, you just throw every bright, colorful piece you could slap onto a canvas, and then we wonder why it doesn't look right. And it doesn't look right because you need some neutrals, some things that, some grade versions of colors that are pushing back to really get your color to go forward. But also, one of the real, sort of rules is that you will not find a tube or a pat of green that looks like a landscape. You can never find it. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
If you have hooker's green, it doesn't work. Don't believe that sap green will do it. Sap green is the worst. One of the worst colors I think imaginable.
What
I
is
barely
sap
ever
green?
use it.
Like,
it's just it's like kind of yellowy, browny. I don't know. It's just it's not really natural, but it leads you to think that it is. So it's like sap green is terrible. So all of your greens you need to mix. All of your greens you need to mix, all of your blues you need to mix, and your layering, when you get to acrylic and oil painting, particularly, your layering will come from layering, your vibration will come from layering complements on top of each other. So a blue sky will start with an orange base. And green trees can start with a red base very often, kind of a ruddy brown base, because all of that color is part of what's happening. But don't worry, we will get there. We'll get there. Now we'll start dealing with it when we deal with pastels, and then we'll really get into it when we start painting in January. Painting is
So this
real
is
fun.
the actual painting, the original one. I have just forwarded to the group, you know.
Oh, let's see.
It's like it has so many shades of green.
Let's see.
Oh.
Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I couldn't hear anything. All right, you guys, we're at 2 hours. Does everybody want to take one more look? Send it across. Hold it up.
How did that happen?
I know, isn't that crazy? This one was a fast one. I think because you're all getting more skilled. Oh yeah, you need way more. And look at all those trees, Needy, have shadow sides to them. That requires a lot of mixing. Yeah, that's just color. Yeah, you can't find that color. And truthfully, you need like a deep, rich orange underneath that to make that green vibrate the way it needs to. You can't do that with watercolor, but you can do that with oil and acrylic. You just won't be able to get the vibrancy in a watercolor or ink that you can in pastels or in oil and acrylic. Yeah, it just won't happen. It's not really possible.
And the further away things are, the softer they get in color. So
and bluer. They get more blue.
Yeah.
They get bluer, they get lighter. So there's a lot of things that are drawing related that also are affecting your ability to see what's actually going on here. These are beautiful, you guys. These are beautiful. I love them. Avocado. I hope you guys will do some of your inks. Oh, there we go. You did it. You posted it in the Inktober. Right on, Olga. Anik, that's beautiful. Everybody, great work today. Amazing work today. And Natalia, I love this experimenting that you're doing. I feel like the blending is really interesting. Oh, it's wonderful. All right, Diana, it's coming along.
Yeah, well, it's still a long way to go. I thought I was going to finish it today.
There's a lot going on in the face, more than we think, right?
Yeah.
Judy, great work. Wonderful. Wonderful. Oh my God, you guys. Great, great, great work. Okay, so next week, what shall we do next week? We could do another animal. We did an owl.
I don't do an animal when I'm not here, please.
All right. So next week we'll try something. Maybe we'll try a simple landscape next week, so we can start working on some of that stuff. All right, Sandra, you take good care of yourself. Get plenty of rest.
Thank you.
You tell Cancer to fuck off. All right, you just tell it all. It gets to fuck the fuck off. Get it out.
Oh, by the way, next week is Friday, right?
Yeah, next week is Friday. So
actually, yes, I will be on. It's the Thursday, but I can't join you.
Great. So maybe we'll do another animal on Friday.
Yes, so we can do an animal.
Okay. I'm up for it. All right, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Lovely to see everyone. Wonderful to see you all interacting with each other on Inktober and otherwise. We'll see you all next week. And this will be.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Great work. Great work.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye, everybody.